11 months out of the year, Cinderella is the world's greatest animated fairy tale, but not in the month of March. In March, Cinderella is a basketball team, sometimes an 11 seed, maybe a 12, and they become Cinderella by knocking off college basketball's royalty, hoping desperately the clock never strikes midnight. In 2006, Jim Larranaga authored the ultimate Cinderella story. He led the 11th seeded George Mason team to upsets over powerhouses, Michigan State, North Carolina, and Connecticut, all the way to the greatest ball of them all, the Final Four. To find out what our current Cinderella teams need to do to advance past the Sweet 16, we welcome in George Mason head coach Jim Larranaga. Coach, it's so good to have you on once again. Hard to believe that that run was already 4 years ago. What was the single most important thing that helped you and your club get to the Final Four?
Well, first of all, we had great players. Maybe not nationally known names, Jay, but a terrific group of veteran players who had played a lot of games together. Jai Lewis, Lamar Butler, and Tony Skinn, three great senior players who all scored 1,500 points during the course of their careers. They were ready to lead us to the Final Four and were playing with a great deal of confidence.
We have more than one Cinderella this year. You've got 9 seed Northern Iowa, 10 seed St. Mary's, 11 seed Washington, and then the 12 in Cornell. Which of these teams reminds you most of your team from '06?
Well, I think there's some similarities with several of them, and I'll begin with Cornell. They've got a group of guys who have played together for a very long time. They're a veteran team that plays very, very smart and has great team chemistry. And so I think Cornell is very, very similar to us. They have skilled players who can all shoot the basketball, and they defend as a team. They're not a group of individuals, but they are a great team.
If you had to pick one that had the best chance to make it to the Final Four, who would that be?
Well, I think Northern Iowa has the best chance, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cornell advanced as well. Northern Iowa is facing a Michigan State team that lost Kalen Lucas to injury, so I think that really helps them to advance and get to the Elite Eight, and then anything is possible.
We've got 5 mid-majors in the Sweet 16 this year. Why do you think that the mids have closed that gap between the power conferences and some of the smaller conferences? Particularly, it's happened since you guys made your run 4 years ago.
Well, I just think the way players come into college with the most talented guys thinking they're one and done or maybe two and done, where they jump from college to the pros very early in their career. And yet the mid-majors are able to hold on to their quality players for 4 years. And then when they get into their junior and senior year, they play with a great deal of confidence. They're veterans who know what it takes to advance in the NCAA tournament. And that's why I think we're seeing so many mid-majors advance to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, the one and done, the great equalizer. You've been where these teams are now. As a head coach, you're standing in front of a group of guys who, for weeks, have heard everybody tell them you really don't have a chance even though you're in the field. You're giving a pregame speech to any of these Cinderella teams. What are you saying to them, Coach?
Well, first of all, every one of those teams knows they deserve it because they earned their way to the Sweet 16. They've played great basketball throughout the regular season. They've played well in the tournament. They've had to beat some quality teams to get to the Sweet 16. And now it's a matter of not who you play or where you play, but how you play. Can you continue to play at a very high level? Can you play like you did last weekend or even a little bit better? You want to stay on cloud 9. You want to feel up and excited and enjoy it. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on yourself because pressure tends to tighten you up, and then you don't shoot the ball or play nearly as well.
That is terrific advice from someone who knows. He has been there. Jim Larranaga, he led George Mason all the way to the Final Four. What a ride that was back in 2006. Coach, so good to see you again. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Enjoy the Sweet 16.
Yeah, thanks, Jay.